Welcome. My name is Paul Sugarman, and this is the Instant Shakespeare Company. And today we are celebrating and sharing Shakespeare. And I'm here with Geraldine Sackler, and I wanted to talk about why we celebrate Shakespeare. For me, it's just there's such a richness and there's so many great stories, which is why with the Instant Shakespeare Company, we're now in our 26th season of reading all of the plays as we do every year, and we're doing a lot of them on Zoom. For this coming Saturday, we're doing the second part of Henry VI, and for the next few Saturdays, we're doing that. And we will also do in-person readings, as we did our in-person reading of Julius Caesar on the Ides of March at the 53rd Street Library. And I'm very excited that we'll be back at other libraries as well to celebrate and share Shakespeare. So, Jerry Lynn, if you want to say why you like to celebrate Shakespeare.
Okay. I love in Shakespeare that he was, I think, the first psychologist in a time when people who had psychosis were considered possessed by the devil. He saw it as product of trauma. He understood human nature and he accepted human nature. There was something understandable about all his characters and relatable, even if they were totally evil or really screwed up or out there. He accepted and saw and had compassion for basic human nature. And that's a wonderful thing. His stories were beautiful. He took stories from everywhere, but what he did with them was unique. The language is beautiful. The wisdom in the plays, I think, has never been matched by anyone I've read. And of course, his vision changed. He went through different periods. He went through periods where the plays were quite bitter, like Troilus and Cressida, or Timon of Athens, where there really wasn't anybody likable, and it was just a kind of a bag of downers period. But then I think by the end, he was also very reconciliatory about life and human nature, and it was very beautiful vision. And it was like a Eastern mystic, where we are all dreams, it's all an illusion, but this is it. It's also our reality. So you have the whole range. He sort of ate life, digested it, and fed it in a more beautiful vision to all of us. Every little strange thing and every wondrous thing and every enormously moving thing and every just profane, funny kind of thing. It's all there. There's a lot to like.
It is. It is. There's so much, and since this is April, and we're celebrating Shakespeare. We will have several Zoom celebrations on April 23rd as well, and so we can do that. And it's just I think that that it's really that he loves all of his characters.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting. Actually, it was when Laurence Olivier was talking to Tyrone Guthrie about how he was having difficulty with the part, and it was like, because he's just as a jerk, he's like, no, you have to love him. I mean, to
Yeah.
really be a good actor, you really have to love the character that you're playing. And I think that because Shakespeare was an actor as well as a writer, that he
Yeah.
infused that, and that's why even characters who sometimes don't even get names can have really interesting stories. And just a little bit like like just when we were reading Julius Caesar, so many things in it that are cut. I mean, because it's like, well, we know the whole thing, but we usually like cut out all of the stuff with Titinius and Cassius. I mean, where Cassius kills himself and then Titinius kills himself while mourning Cassius, and all of this sorts of the richness of this, I mean, of Titinius's character.
Yeah.
He has so much going on, even though it's just this little part. And I think that's what makes Shakespeare so extraordinary, and that's why it's so much fun to do the instant Shakespeare readings where we read all of the plays, and so we hear things that resonate with us, because I think that's also a way it helps us to process and understand the world.
Yeah. And
So
he had political insights and stuff that are still valid, that are really,
yeah, and also I mean I love that he has a universal appeal. I mean that across the political spectrum, that there are many conservatives. I mean Steve Bannon had written like his space opera Coriolanus or something
my
somewhere.
God, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's all of that. There's lots of and yeah, we do not um, we do not exclude anyone at the Instant Shakespeare Company, regardless of how you feel about Shakespeare, how you feel about it, because it's like Shakespeare can have things where you just think, oh yeah, it's all about the divine right of kings, and kings have to, but then he also gives voice to Cade and the rebels.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All that is human is in Shakespeare. And the most delightful things in life, the most magical and the most horrible. So his range is just so wonderful.
Yeah. So do you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think I could come up with something. Let me see. I'm actually going to read these because I haven't done them in a while. Let's see. What have I got here? Hmm. Well, I've always wanted to do this one, but I'm long in the tooth for it now. So but it's just wonderful. Hermione from Winter's Tale. Let me see where you don't see the flashlight. So spare your threats. The bug which you would fright me with, I seek. To me can life be no commodity. The crown and comfort of my life, your favor, I do count for lost. For I do feel it lost, but know not how it's gone. My second joy and first fruit of my body. From his presence I am barred like one infectious. My third comfort, starred most unluckily, is from my breast the innocent milk in his most innocent mouth, haled out to murder. Myself on every post proclaimed a strumpet, with immodest hatred, the childbed privilege denied, which belongs to women of all fashion. Lastly, hurried to this place in the open air before I have the strength of limit. Now, my liege, tell me what blessings I have here alive that I should fear. Therefore, proceed. But yet hear this, mistake me not, no life, I prize it not a straw, but for mine honor, which I would free. If I shall be condemned upon surmises, all proof sleeping else, but what your jealousies awake, I tell you it is rigor and not law. That's all. I refer me to the oracle. Apollo be my judge. Yeah,
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank
yeah,
you. Thanks
just
so much. It is. It's so such a wonderful speech, and just such strength. And I mean that's one of the things that I do think is so extraordinary about Shakespeare is, and I think it's because he grew up when he was born. Elizabeth was already queen and
mhm.
ruler, and so this idea, so he was sort of infused with the idea that a woman can run a country, a woman can pretty
Yes,
much do anything, and
yeah,
that's one of the things about his female characters. A lot of times they're a lot more interesting than the male characters.
yeah, yeah.
And
They're a lot stronger, and they say it like it is, whereas the are more political. They'll hedge it, or females would just come out with it, but they're not carrying swords, so they can't act on it. But they see it and they say it.
Yeah,
definitely.
well, it's and with Julius Caesar, I mean, I think it's a tragedy of not listening to your wives, that
Yes, it is. Everybody's wife, like, honey, don't go to the forum. Just don't do it. Just let's get pizza, stay home,
yeah.
Yeah. Or is it a good idea to kill Caesar or is it a bad idea, honey? Run it past me. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Ah,
But I've got one thing that I've been thinking of. Also, one of the words early on in your speech, you used the word commodity. So
yeah,
I think I want to give you a speech that really emphasizes commodity from King John.
excellent.
Mad world, mad kings, mad composition. John, to stop Arthur's title in the whole, hath willingly departed with a part. And France, whose armour conscience buckled on, whom zeal and charity brought to the field as God's own soldier, rounded in the ear with that same purpose changer, that sly devil, that broker that still breaks the pate of faith, that daily break vow, he that wins of all, of kings, of beggars, old men, young men, maids, who, having no external thing to lose but the word maid, cheats the poor maid of that smooth-faced gentleman tickling commodity. Commodity, the bias of the world who of itself is poisoned well, made to run even upon even ground, till this advantage, this vile drawing bias, this sway of motion, this commodity, makes it take head from all indifferency, from all direction, purpose, course, intent. And this same bias, this commodity, this bawd, this broker, this all-changing word, clapped on the outward eye of fickle France, hath drawn him from his own determined aid, from a resolved and honourable war, to a most base and vile concluded peace.
Yeah.
And why rail I on this commodity? But for because but for because he hath not wooed me yet. Not that I have the power to clutch my hand when his fair angels would salute my palm, but my hand is unattempted yet, like a poor beggar raileth on the rich. Well, whiles I am a beggar, I will rail, and say there is no sin but to be rich. And being rich, my virtue then shall be to say there is no vice but beggary. Well, since kings break faith upon commodity, gain be my lord, for I will worship thee.
Wow. Very, very good. That's a wonderful speech.
Yeah.
Wonderful. The change in it, you know? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a
Love that.
journey. And it's like, and it's also, it's like, it's so interesting when you sort of work in the folio things to see where the words that are emphasized by capitalization, and also the idea that there you have sentences that are very long,
Yes.
and sort of keep the idea going throughout, because that's the thing, is that people were able to listen and catch this. They, in Shakespeare's time, one of the things why it's like I'm fine with like doing things in Zoom, and sometimes when people's picture doesn't work, it's like it's the expression back in Shakespeare's time was going to hear a play rather
Right.
than going to see a play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about it now. We're so into the visuals and the special effects and the AI and that's not where it's at as far as storytelling. That's something different. That's amusement. It's not storytelling.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you also have to have an audience that knows what story that wants to be told a story, not just amused by
hmm,
constant visual stim.
yeah. No, and it's there's just um, such a lot to be to be found in new times and different things and different ways that it can strike you. And King John is also, I mean, because it's like it's Henry V is good, Richard III is bad, King John is
Yeah. He's a person. He's good
yeah,
and bad. He's the bastard is good and bad. Right. Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
these things for these ambition. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, the one of the when we did with Actor Shakespeare Company, we did a production of King John with Colin Ryan as the bastard, and
Yeah.
he fought with two swords at once, fighting two people at once in the battle scene,
Yeah.
and also in that we had Rafi Barsumian, who I fought with him in it, and he's gone on. He's been in a number of things. I've seen him. He works in TV, and also he was in Liaison Dangereuse that was done a few years back on Broadway.
Wow.
And also when Classic Stage Company did the Scottish play with Corey Stoll, he was like the Malcolm in that. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's great. It's great to like work with people and then they go on and, you know,
yeah.
actually there are two people from Seth's company that I work with. There's Makania Chesser, and she's in New York now. Makania is great. She's now in New York, but she's not in New York. She came down to New York to spend 6 months here and audition a lot. So she's got a sublet, but she's doing something with Speakeasy Company in Boston, Yaya's hair braiding salon or something. So she
Oh,
just went up there to do that show, and then she'll be back to New York. But she's been going to auditions, and we've been going for coffee after auditions and stuff. So Makania, I hadn't seen her for years. And then I went
she was
up
up at
and
Shakespeare and Company for a
she
long time.
was, yeah, she was there for a long time. And she's not anymore.
Uh,
She just wanted to, because she was also doing stuff besides acting. She was also doing like regular admin kind of, and she wanted to just do the acting, concentrate
yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
Well, I think I saw her in Merry Wives up there, and
Yeah, yeah,
and my
she's
parents loved her.
amazing.
That they used to see all their stuff up there, and
Yeah. She and I were fellow witches in a Macker's. I was one and she was two. Yeah. So, you know, that definitely bonds, you know, you develop
yes,
bonds that together and
that's true.
killing swine and stuff.
Yeah, it brings people together.
It brings people together. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I just got to do it recently in
Yeah.
Mackers. So, is there something else? Anything else you'd like
Let
to
me
share?
see. What else have I got? Okay, I've got something very different, which is Dogberry. It's a role I did years ago with Prague Shakespeare. Oh, villain, thou wilt be condemned unto everlasting redemption for this. Come, let them be opinioned. God's my life. Where's the sexton? Let him write down the prince's officer. Coxcomb. Oh, come bind them, thou naughty villain. Dost thou not suspect my place? Dost thou not suspect my years? Oh, that he were here to write me down an ass. But masters, remember that I am an ass. Forget not that I am an ass. No, thou villain, I am a wise fellow and one that knows the law, one that has 2 gowns and everything most handsome about me. Come bring them away. Oh, that he had written me down an ass.
Oh, that's great. I love that. He's such a. I mean, he's such a fun character,
He
and
does his job. He catches the bad guys. Yeah.
yeah, and it's amazing that that really even though he can't really speak English very well, I mean, all of these sorts of we know them as malapropisms from Mrs.
Yeah.
Malaprop, but before there was Mrs. Malaprop, there was Dogberry. I mean,
Yeah.
the opposite. He does not suspect my place as opposed to respecting your place.
Right. And let them be opinioned. Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I like the dog. Yeah.
Hmm.
From that same play, I've got Leonardo. I cannot bid you bid my daughter live, that were impossible. But I pray you both, possess the people in Messina here, how innocent she died. And if your love can labor aught in sad invention, hang her an epitaph upon her tomb and sing it to her bones. Sing it tonight. Tomorrow morning, come you to my house. For since you could not be my son-in-law, yet be my nephew. My brother hath a daughter, almost a copy of my child that's dead, and she alone is heir to both of us. Give her the rights you should have given her cousin. So dies my revenge. Which, of course, he's pulling a fast one because,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the other things that I find interesting for those who believe that Shakespeare was secretly a Catholic, because basically every Catholic character is a liar, and
every priest lies, everyone.
I
Yes.
mean, it's like Friar Lawrence. It's like, what, you couldn't like tell them what the hell's going on,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that's
No.
because he was
No.
afraid to. I mean, that's why he didn't. And I mean, and Friar Francis is like, okay, well, let's say that she's dead. And
Right.
sort of, it's like, this is normal operating procedure for the Catholic Church. Let's lie first, and then we'll find out what's going on. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Then we'll sort it out. Just, commodity for the moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because also you have in King John, you've got Pandolf, who's like this
Oh my
peace that
God.
then has been sort of made between England and France because John won't kiss the Pope's ring, then he makes him like go back to war again.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. I
It's
remember I did Constance once with
yeah,
IS. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh, she's got such beautiful speeches.
Beautiful speeches. There's one last thing. It's very little. It's just nasty Bertram's mom in All's Well.
Hmm.
I think I remember that one. I might not. We'll see. Be thou blessed, Bertram, and succeed thy father in manner as in shape. Thy blood and virtue contend for empire in thee, and thy goodness share with thy birthright. Hey, love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. Be able for thine enemy rather in power than in use. Keep thy friend under thine own life's keep. Be checked for silence, but never chat, never taxed for speech. What heaven more will that may thee furnish, and my prayers plucked down, fall on thy head. Farewell, my lord. 'Tis an unseasoned courtier, good my lord, advise him.
Great. Thank you. Yes, yeah, all's well that ends well.
Yeah, it's like Shakespeare had a lot of marriages in his plays where, if you think about it, they're not that happy. They can't really, you know, like two
Yeah,
gents with Proteus
yeah,
and
yeah. I saw a
well,
really excellent production of Two Gents a few years back at Shakespeare and Company, and the sense you got from the Julia was that
yeah,
she was done with Proteus. That it's
yeah,
they're sort of saying, "Oh yes, and we'll get married and all of this stuff," and ha ha ha. But she was like, "No way."
no thanks,
And it's
yeah,
like, and I mean, because it is so interesting in like with a lot of plays with Midsummer, where they'll try and redistribute some of the lines where they're making fun of the players because it's just the guys doing it, basically.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, Hippolyta does some, but I mean, Hermia and Helena are like silent in the fifth act,
yeah,
and
yeah. That's another one with a problematical match because Demetrius is still under the influence of the love drops.
yeah, well, that
Yeah,
I mean,
that's silly.
but you can also do it in production. My wife has directed it several times, and actually going to direct it again this summer in this sort of mini midsummer that they do. And what she does is that after Puck takes the thing off of Lysander's eyes, he
Yeah.
also takes it off of Demetrius's.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it's like, and so it's like if you play it, and then Demetrius is like, yeah, I really do love her because he really
Yeah.
did. He loved her at first, you know.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
even if you, I mean, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's a
But
way to
let
do it because it is problematic. Yes, I just saw
it's
an article about.
problematic. Yeah, just like Bertram and just like Proteus. It's like, okay, you got the guy, now what? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and then you get into all of the things of like what Oberon is doing to set up his queen to
Yeah. Yeah.
have
With the
sex with a
donkey.
donkey,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's yeah, not good human behavior. But these aren't humans; they're fairies, you know.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. See, it's like in that play, I did a workshop with Aquila when they were together, when they were in New York, when there was that Aquila company, and I did a summer intensive with them. And then we did performances at Lincoln Center in the Clark Studio Theater. And they gave me the Titania Oberon scene, and I loved it. But I was so much younger then. So I've proceeded from Titania to like Philostrate and Peter Quince and you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
graduate. Like you go from being Juliet to being Lady Capulet to being the nurse, you know. Just
Yeah,
c'est la vie.
the evolution, but then you have Ian McKellen and Judi Dench. I mean, going back, like Judi Dench actually fairly recently played Titania. That there
Yeah,
was a production where it's sort of like her as Queen Elizabeth deciding, I'm going to play Titania, you know.
right, right. Yeah. There are actually some spin-off of Shakespeare plays that I want to read. There's something called A Tender Thing, and it's Romeo and Juliet grown up or something, if they had lived or something like that. So there have been a bunch of plays, you know, dealing with that. Or there's a Paula Vogel, a play about a handkerchief, which is a takeoff on Othello, or you know, there are some other things where it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I mean, obviously there've been, I mean, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, and
Yeah.
there are many other people who've written plays about. We did actually a reading, or the Shaw Project did a reading of John Gilbert had written a play about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and about them embarrassing Claudius because they found out that he'd written a play that was really bad or something.
Yeah, there's all directions you can take this stuff, either serious or funny or whatever. I always thought of writing a sequel to Romeo and Juliet where they lived, and there they are, and he's like falling in love with the maid it's all the time, and so Juliet finally hires the nurse who's just gotten out of a dungeon or something, you know, and nurse walks around cleaning and going, and see, the thing is, it would have to be an iambic, and the nurse is walking around going, I told her that she should have married Paris, you know.
Yeah. Although the nurse doesn't talk in iambic very much, she mostly
No,
talks in
she's
prose.
yeah, she's
And,
prose. Yeah.
and it's one of the things that bothers me about modern text is when her opening speech is reset into iambic.
No, she's not. Yeah, nurse is like more, it's prose, 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 prose. Yeah. That's always a clue if they go from speaking
Yeah,
iambic to prose, or because sometimes it's the type of character and sometimes it's the situation. Some characters do both.
yeah, yeah. No, it is, and it is interesting to be aware of when it shifts back and forth because a lot of times we sort of get in our head that it's like, oh well, he wrote these plays in verse, and so they're all in verse, and it's like they're really Richard II and King John are the only plays that are really close to being almost entirely in verse, and then
Right.
you get to some like Much Ado, which is majority prose.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Isn't a
mean, it would be
lot.
really weird to have Dogberry speaking in verse, you know. It's
Yeah,
like Dogberry can hardly speak altogether. So, yeah.
yeah. No, and it is interesting that like Brutus, who speaks in verse mostly, like in his soliloquies when he's thinking and going through that and mostly talking to people, he speaks in verse. But in his speech to the forum, he speaks in prose. You
Right.
know, and that it's that an interesting of this sort of change because he's trying to like. It's almost like he's talking down to the plebeians so that they can.
Right. He wants to reach them. He wants to make it accessible, but
Yeah,
it doesn't.
But
doesn't fly.
whereas Anthony's speech, which is in verse, ends up feeling much more natural.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, he's not the brightest bulb on the marquee, but he instinctively knew what to do and what to say. He knew he had almost a New York Post kind of thing, like he knew how to get to their emotions.
Yeah.
Whereas Brutus was trying to be logical with
Hmm.
them, you know. Yeah. Well, I've got an audition tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this. And I think it's just important to in April find ways to celebrate Shakespeare, share some of his things. I think there's a lot of really great things in all of the plays, but in
Yes.
Lear, one of like Edgar's final lines: "Speak what we feel,
Yeah.
not what we ought to say."
Yes. And that's so important because that's being squashed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, yeah. So thank you, and let me just
Thank you so much. And I will let you know. I'll communicate with the little